Now, those statements of condemnation, pledges of support continue while the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that Kiev's forces were fighting the invading Russian troops for the control of the Chernobyl plant, the site of the world's worst nuclear disaster. In a tweet, Zelensky said, I'm quoting, Russian occupying forces are trying to take over the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Our soldiers are giving their lives so that the tragedy of 1986 does not happen again. He called the attack a declaration of war on all of Europe. Soldiers invading from Belarus in the north entered the area around the former nuclear power plant. This is where a 1986 accident resulted in the worst nuclear disaster in history. Around 350,000 people were evacuated following the explosion, with many leaving their homes and belongings behind forever. A nuclear exclusion zone was established in 1986 around the area, most affected by the radiation. It was later expanded to cover other affected areas. The areas surrounding Chernobyl nuclear power plant, including the nearby city of Pripyat, have since worsened into abandoned ghost towns. The Chernobyl site still remains covered by a mammoth protective area. With us on the broadcast is our correspondent Susan Teherani, who's been tracking those developments in New York. How soon do we expect the American president to announce those promised fresh set of sanctions, Susan?
Well, Molly, we were first told initially that he was going to speak with us at 12 p.m. local time. That's about 15 minutes before from what we're speaking right now. Then that was pushed to 12:30 p.m. Local time. That's 15 minutes from now. Usually the president is generally late for normal speaking engagements, public speaking engagements. We'll see how that pans out during this extraordinary situation. However, Pentagon officials did speak to reporters behind closed doors, and they did say that, you know, this attack that we just saw by Russia in the last 24 hours or so was just the initial phase from Moscow, and that the Kremlin has every intention of, quote, decapitating the government in Ukraine and installing their own government. Public means of communications, they said, are still active. However, that could change any minute. And what we're expecting from the president is harsh sanctions against Russia. Of course, that has been the first line of attack that this administration and NATO allies have said they will take should an invasion occur. This is an invasion in earnest. They've acknowledged that. But also we know that some 40,000 NATO troops will be possibly deployed to the eastern flank. That was also another measure that NATO allies wanted to take. They didn't take the full-on measure regarding that as a deterrent, because they thought that that would instigate some sort of attack. And now that Vladimir Putin has moved into Ukraine in earnest, we'll see how many of those troops will be deployed. Some U.S. troops had initially been deployed in recent days to the Baltic states, but the United States has made very clear that American troops will not be fighting alongside Ukrainian troops, but the U.S. has vowed to provide and continue to provide military aid to Ukrainian forces. How much of that aid will be useful in fighting a force like the Russian military is yet to be seen. But the bet right now is that Vladimir Putin overplayed his hands, and we'll have to see what these sanctions entail that President Biden wants to impose. And let's not forget that his message will be to Vladimir Putin, but equally to the American people, a warning that gas prices and energy prices here in the United States will go up, and he'll have to convince the American public. Only 28%, according to a recent survey, that think that America has a stake in Ukraine should take the brunt and this cost for freedom and see it at their kitchen table, basically.